Hello and welcome to my home. Today I'm going to show you how to harden off all those vegetable seedlings that you are growing indoors. We need to do this hardening off to get them transitioned to being outside in your containers on a permanent basis. But before we go there, I want to tell you that I do other videos on my channels. I do easy to do, tasty recipe videos, I do product reviews, I have meditation videos, and of course other container gardening videos as well. So come on, let's go outside and see how that process on hardening your seedlings goes. So I'm looking at the pepper plants in particular, and they have gotten quite tall inside. And it is time to do a couple of things. Get them hardened off and to put them into bigger pots. Right now, they're not going to get too much bigger, and they're starting to get a little yellow looking. So it's time to put them in a bigger pot and get them ready to be hardened off, and so they can be outside all the time. And I'll talk a little bit more about the hardening off, but right now I want to talk about getting these out of these little crates. These are some egg crates that I use to start the seeds. And it's only so deep, so it's time to move them into a bigger pot. Okay, I have my pot. Now this pot is about a 4 gallon pot. You don't need a huge pot for peppers plants. And I've started by just putting some topsoil, not potting mix, but topsoil, just regular topsoil. That's all. It just says topsoil on the container. And I put just a little bit of Dr. Earth. It's an all-purpose fertilizer. There's different types of all-purpose fertilizer. You don't have to use that brand. I just use that much. I put it in here and mixed it up. Now I'm going to fill the rest with potting mix. Regular old potting mix. Now this is by Miracle Grow. It does have some fertilizer in there too, but plants need a lot of nutrients, so adding a little bit more. And what I put in that Dr. Earth, it was a slow release fertilizer, so this is not going to interfere with any fertilizer that is in this potting mix. So I'm going to put the rest of this bucket and fill it up with the potting mix. And with all your pots, you're not going to fill it. Don't fill it all the way to the top. Leave a good inch so that you're not having your soil spill over if that should be a harsh rain. And it just gives them a nice little bit of a buffer zone to let the water collect and drain down. Okay. Now in here, these are all my pepper plants. These are some tomato plants. I'm not going to worry about these. I'm going to worry about these when it gets time to transplant my tomato plants. But these pepper plants is what I'm concerned about today. So I did water these in so that they're easy to pop out. See how that one is just kind of popping out? You shouldn't need too much of a tool, but if you do, just use a little trowel to lift them out. But these are coming out pretty easily. Now I'm going to put in some fertilizer. Now this time I'm going to put in a good handful worth. And get it down, mix it real good in there. Just like you're mixing a cake or like you're kneading dough. You want to get it all in there. Now this is April the 11th and it's still early in the season, and my main goal again was to get those pepper plants out of those little small little containers so that they can start progressing and growing. And so I'm going to really probably put about 3 or 4 in here, which is a big improvement of where they were before. And I've already wetted this soil. Just poke a little hole in there. Get your little plant. Keep the roots intact. Keep the roots together. Plant them in there. Just kind of gently pack the soil around it. And even though I've already wetted the soil, I'm going to water it in. Just gently. Okay. So that's 4 down. I'm going to do the rest of the tomato. Excuse me, I said tomatoes. I'm thinking about tomatoes. Do the rest of my pepper plants in the same way. And I'm also, it's beautiful out here today. I'm going to let them stay outside for a little bit. I'm going to see if they can last 3 hours. I'm doing the hardening off process at the same time. And see if they can last that long. And by that I mean if they start to look like they wilting, you know, or getting kind of peaked or tired looking, I will move them back in the house. But I'm thinking they will be able to make it for 3 hours today. And the hardening process will begin. Now, hardening off your plants after they've been growing inside is important before you permanently move them outside in your containers, because they're not used to being in the outdoor weather. They've been all nice and cozy. Look at that, cozy and comfortable inside. And you have to get them used to the direct sun and to the wind. And this will help toughen up their outer exterior so that they can permanently be outside. The hardening off process normally takes about 5 days, and you incrementally increase their time outdoors. So I'm going to start with 2 to 3 hours, see how they look, and keep going like that until on the 5th day I will let them stay out overnight, as long as the temperatures are in the 50s. Now I'm going to give you a look at some of the other things that I have going on out here, just in case you haven't been following my other videos. So let's take a look. Here are my collard greens. The bigger ones are the ones I started indoors and hardened off to be outdoors. They've been outside for about a week now. And the smaller ones are the ones that I actually sowed outside. And so they get to stay outside, obviously, because when you sow outside, there's no need to harden anything off because they're used to the outside temperatures. Here is some of the arugula that I planted. I did a video on that, and I'm hardening these off today. I also thinned them out. Here's some turnips that I started outside. Now in this container I have a combination. I have spinach that I started indoors and have hardened them off. Listen to that bird, he's happy. That I started indoors and have hardened off, and they've been out here for a couple of weeks too. And plus I started some new ones outside, and those are the smaller ones that you see. I have some eggplant that I started indoors, and I'm starting to harden them off. This eggplant, let me get a better shot there. This eggplant is called the long purple eggplant. And a couple of days ago I started the big purple eggplant, so they have not come up yet. Here are my Better Boy tomato plants. I'm in the process of hardening them off as well. So this is pretty big. This one has been growing inside since February, so it's got pretty big. And then I have some smaller tomato plants, also Better Boys, that I started after sometime in March. I started those. These are the turnip greens that I started indoors, and I'm in the process of hardening off. Here's my basil. I need to water my basil, but I started those inside, and I'm hardening them off now. They're kind of small, but I'm keeping an eye on them. Here's my cucumber plant that just went crazy. I mean, it's flowing all over the pot, and this is just from growing inside, so I'm trying to harden that off. I have a couple of squash plants that are hidden in there, and I have a few cherry tomatoes as well. So these are all in the process of hardening off. Oh, let's see what else. I forgot I have my basil that I started indoors. They're hardening off. And I decided to plant 2 cantaloupes. There they are, 2 cantaloupe seeds. And these are actually seeds that I saved from a cantaloupe that we ate last year. So I was surprised I was able to get those to sprout, but there they are. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload a new video. Well, that's it for now. Bye bye.